Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm the Curious Lo.
And today we're going to tell you how we felt about Minions. Lo, first of all, was that your Minion dance? What was
Apparently,
that?
I don't know.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Lo, are you familiar with both of the Despicable Me movies?
I have seen the first one. I have not seen the second.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. I liked it
the
okay.
premise, though. Like, I saw the trailers, and I kind of know the premise. But,
It takes place in a shopping mall. Anyway, or at least it partially takes place in a shopping mall. Anyway, so Minions, the spin-off from Despicable Me, the kind of breakout characters from those movies that became kind of a big, cute phenomenon that I'm not real surprised that people kind of latched onto these things, and I'm doubly not surprised that they decided to cash in and try to make a movie about them. And so basically, this is this is kind of your standard origin flashback movie where we do a prequel and gotta give you the origin of the Minions, and the Minions apparently predate everything and existed at the time of the dinosaurs, and all they want to do is find a supervillain to...
Dinosaurs. Single-celled organisms.
So, yes, exactly. With might I add, a pretty fun opening title sequence.
Oh, yeah. I love stuff like that, alternate animation styles.
Yeah, although, it seems like so many movies are using the Turtles right now. That song "So Happy Together," it's in everything. Anyway, and it's one of my favorite songs of all time. It's weird how it's like catching on, and it's like in everything. Anyway, so the Minions are just looking around for a supervillain to serve, because apparently that's just what they were born to do, and that's what they want to do. So they're looking for a villain, and they think that they found one, and then they this villain played by Sandra Bullock tells them to go do a thing, and they attempt it, and they might not quite manage it, and then kind of all heck breaks loose. Curious Lo, what did you think of Minions?
All right, I said, I feel like I was entertained, but have no desire to see this again. Also, banana.
So I guess they like bananas because they look like bananas. Is that the deal? Is that
sure?
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I thought it was funny. I was laughing out loud consistently through this movie.
Yep.
But you know, it was a good kids movie. I'm sure, like, you as a father probably have a slightly different. I don't know if you took your kids to see that or not, but
I did. Yeah.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I feel like that might have a slightly different take on it, but I was like, it was good, but like I could have just as easily seen this as like shorts with the Minions. Like, I know that they're popular and they're hilarious, but it felt like a very long movie for a kids movie, even though it wasn't actually very long. It's kind of like, all right, this is cool. More people talking in gibberish, which is not gibberish. I don't know if I never realized it in the first movie or if they just didn't do it, but like multiple times they were speaking French, and I was like, hey, I know what they're saying. Like, it caught me off guard. But yeah, I liked it. Just, you know, it was okay.
Do you have a best thing, worst thing?
Best thing is definitely Bob. He's hands down my favorite Minion. He was adorable, and his little teddy bear Tim, oh my goodness, loved it. Worst thing, and I feel kind of weird saying this just because it is a kids movie, and I mean, what did I expect? But the plot was like, it was kind of secondary to whatever was going on, which is kind of why I said I thought it might be better as shorts, just because the plot obviously isn't necessary to give us hilarious situations for these characters to be in. But yeah.
All right. So are you flipping green?
I am flipping green. Yeah. And especially, like, if people love the Minions, they're gonna love this movie. I mean, it was great. It is everything you love about the Minions already.
Yeah.
But just the Minions.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my take and your take are very similar. Lo, this movie made me feel like I needed to be no taller than this to ride this ride. That's how I felt about it. This movie just is not for me. And so, as far as who this movie is for, and if those people will like it, anybody that thought the Minions were super cute will enjoy this movie. Kids will enjoy this movie, and I think it's a harmless, fine movie to take your kids to. I think as far as an entertaining children's film, yeah, it does the job. And no more than that.
Right.
It's a pretty formulaic, standard kind of kids movie that is really super callable and ends about the way you would expect it to. And frankly, as far as the actual story goes and characterization and stuff, could have been a great deal more creative and clever. I think you're spot on, Lo, and I wouldn't have thought to put it that way in saying that this would have been better served as a series of shorts, because inside of the movie there are several scenes taken out of context that I'm enjoying the crap out of, but then I put in the greater whole and in the context of the thing that I'm watching, it's definitely lacking in the heart and the characterization that the Despicable Me movies had. In both of those, I complained to a degree about having to kind of like water it down and Hollywood it up a little bit too much with kind of a standard premise. I didn't really care with the first movie so much for the way the kids were brought in and used to teach Gru the lesson that he had. It was just a little too obvious and typical to me. I liked the kids, but I felt like there was kind of a smarter and more clever movie there. And this, I don't know that there is, but I guess just being consistent with this as a series, I was hoping to be turned around a little bit, because I assumed walking in that it would be pretty much just a cash in, just here's these cute little guys and let's watch them mess around and be silly for an hour and for an hour and a half, and I was kind of hoping that maybe I'd get lucky and there would be a little bit more thought put into it, and there'd be an attempt to make these characters stand out a little bit from each other, they still are there's token character ticks and things that each of the three main minions have.
This one likes to play guitar, and this one has a teddy bear.
Yeah, and but that's
it's not much deeper than that.
And they were kind of interchangeable, and sometimes I found myself kind of forgetting which one was which, even with like the slight variations in what they look like. And by the way, I have no idea why some of these guys have one eye and some of them have two.
Because minions.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But anyway, I guess it's unfair, like you were saying, plot's pretty paper thin. It's maybe unfair to expect too much more from it. At least it was fun. At least we were entertained. Oh, yeah. But given that that they got me in some places where I actually felt about stuff with the two Despicable Me movies, I was kind of hoping for a little bit of that. Maybe I would get lucky. Some of the humor didn't play for me. There like a lot of it did, but there were places where somebody would throw a joke out, and like my theater was laughing at things I didn't think were funny, and yet there were even places where I didn't think a thing was funny, and everybody stopped laughing. Like the whole theater was just like, I don't really understand how that's a joke. There's two or I won't go into detail, but there's two or three things like that. Real quick, best thing, worst thing for me. Best thing is some of the period humor. And it seemed like we were kind of so the movie takes place primarily in 1968 and in Europe, and there was kind of some in I suppose London, and there were some kind of fun, like poking fun at the English jokes, and some of it was kind of obvious, but some of it was funny, and a lot of music stuff. It seemed like doing the period jokes, we were primarily just going, let's make fun of music. I don't know if this is fair, if this is really the case, but it had a little bit of this vibe of, well, everybody loved that there was a bunch of old music in Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's do that, And the soundtrack to this is killer with because some of the choices were great. I thought that the bit with where the minions were pretending to be the monkeys was really funny. There's some stuff like that I really liked. But worst thing for me is got to be just the basic premise, Lo. And I was worried about that from the trailers because I was like, oh really? Like we are contriving so hard a way to make this a prequel. Why does it have to be? So the minion, and this is a thing that I could have complained about just from the trailer, but now that we've seen it, let's talk about it. So real quick, before I say this is my worst thing, but real quick, because I want to actually engage you about this, Lo. I'm gonna flip my sign red. I didn't love it. I just think it's pretty skippable unless you just really love, like, red for me. It's at the very least, I think it's pretty skippable in the movie theater. But like, I don't know, if you love those guys and you love that humor, sure, but like, I think a little of these guys go a long way. I mean, the big thing for me is, thank goodness that we only had to follow 3 of them for most of the movie. Like I think that was a really smart choice. But anyway, Lo, so, did anybody else, when they first saw Despicable Me, think anything other, as far as where the minions came from, than their genetic experiments?
Oh yeah, I just assumed that they were created by Gru. Yeah. And
they're pretty, I think, pretty obviously they were supposed to be that, right? This Oompa Loompa notion that they were, like, just around somewhere and he found them, and even more than that, not that he found, like, okay, so I get the whole, like, because it is Oompa Loompa, where it's like, we're looking around for some kind of purpose, but this idea that from the dawn of time they're looking for a supervillain, I think that's just, like, super lazy and weak. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like that's I said, my worst thing was definitely the plot. I think that I enjoyed the humor a little bit more than you did, because I definitely wasn't like, ugh, that was a bad joke, like, at all during this movie.
Oh, okay, all right.
I mean, I wasn't, like, peeing myself laughing or anything, but, like, I was chuckling, I was laughing out loud, I, was entertained throughout the entirety of this movie. But yeah, that was what I was. I was entertained, and like I said on my board, like, have no desire to see this again. Banana.
But yeah, I mean, it's not bad, but it's largely forgettable. I'm glad we're talking about it right after having seen it, because if I had to talk about it tomorrow or the next day, I might not remember as much about it. I mean, that's really the experience that I had with it. Anything else you want to talk about with it? Sandra Bullock was fine, but it's one of those things where, and I feel like the studio does this in a way Pixar doesn't. Anybody could have voiced her. It didn't have to be Sandra Bullock. I feel like she's just voicing it so they've got a big name to attach to it.
Oh yeah, for sure. They, I noticed in the beginning, at least I'm pretty sure, I think it said that Jeffrey Rush's voice was in this, and I was, like, waiting for it, and I never noticed it. So, like, big names, but, like...
Well, who actually voices the Minions? I don't even know that. Okay.
Probably some animator who's really good at voices.
Oh okay. All right. So it's probably not Jeffrey Rush that's actually voicing all of it.
Probably not Jeffrey Rush.
That's what I thought. That's what I'm thinking. It's probably not.
I can't imagine Jeffrey Rush being like,
yeah,
banana.
That's a thing we could look up, but I just don't know that.
Yeah.
But
I'm pretty sure it was Jeffrey Rush. Now it probably wasn't Jeffrey Rush, and everybody's like, "Duh, Curious Low, it wasn't Jeffrey Rush." I'm sorry.
I saw his name too. I just don't know who he voiced.
Okay.
Yeah, but
yeah, like it seems like you were saying, the voice is just like, I would not have like heard that and been like, oh, that's Sandra Bullock, like. You know?
Yeah, actually, that's really true. Yeah. Well, and you could make the argument that means that it was a good voice casting because she kind of disappears in it. You know what I mean? But it's still, it's kind of generic, and that's actually one of my problems with it is that you've got so like for this movie we've got to replace Gru with some other villain that they try to work with, and she just strikes me as kind of generic. Like they give her this kind of like roll a d20 and see what you get kind of backstory, and I felt like if we this whole like this whole like she wasn't loved as a child kind of like really cliche backstory that I couldn't decide if we were like poking fun at that trope or if we were just using it. I've been having that issue with a lot of stuff lately, and this was one of those. And I felt like there could have been kind of a neat sort of parallel thing of like she never grew up and the minions are kind of children, and like there's just nothing done with.
Oh yeah,
with
she was just. I mean, from the very beginning that we first meet her, she like tells that bedtime story. There's no veil. It's not even a thin veil. She's just like mustache twirling evil.
Yeah, and we know it's gonna be like that.
Which is fine for a kids movie, but you know,
it's also fine because she's a supervillain. Would somebody explain to me? Because I've wondered this from the very beginning of these things. Where are the superheroes in this world? Where are they? When you got supervillains just all over the place, where they like they're constantly
they have a convention.
Yeah, and they go unopposed all the time. Like where are they? Okay. That's the other big thing I wanted to mention, which is and this always bugs me in kids movies, and I always feel like I'm the only person talking about it. So maybe I'm the only person that has this problem, but it really bothers me. I had this. I remember when I was a kid, there was a movie in the late 90s, 97, 98 that came out called Quest for Camelot. Do you remember that?
I really like that movie.
Oh, okay, all right.
Say you don't like it.
I didn't like it at all. And
no.
and yeah, well, real quick, I'm going to complain about something that I noticed there, and I've never been able to stop noticing it in other things, which is.
Oh no. I'm never going to be able to unsee
Do you want me to not say it? I won't say it if you want me to.
Go for it.
All right.
Go for it.
Lo is just going to go la la la, and then I'm going to like current topical humor about like slang and pop culture and that kind of stuff that's in a period piece and comes from nowhere. I can't deal with it. It's cheap to me. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny because it doesn't belong, and that's it. So apparently the Minions like made up Booyah, and they made up. I can't remember. There were 2 or 3 other big things like that kept coming back. Where I was like, yeah, that's just like that's present day, like whatever the current like fads are in the culture and how we talk and stuff. That's just there so the kids will laugh at it, and especially in a period thing that bothers me anyway. Especially in a period thing, I have a tough time with that.
Yeah, like it works in the first 2 movies, but like as soon as you're back in the 60s.
It's just, where does it come from? Why do they speak French when they've never been to France? I mean, like if the whole thing is supposed to just be kind of this absurdist thing, okay, but it does feel like a universe that, by and large, kind of looks like ours, except there are supervillains and these guys who apparently have to wear these things around their head for no
Even
reason.
Back when they're made of seaweed.
Yeah, which I guess is sort of funny, but like it calls too much attention to the fact that they would only wear that because they work in a laboratory. It's just like if they played it up as really absurd, if they drew a lot of attention to it, they were like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Then it might be funnier, but it's kind of just there because they didn't have a better idea, and that is irritating. Why couldn't we have just gone forward? I mean, why couldn't we have just done a story where say, like, a couple of the Minions decide that they want to try to go off and do their own thing and try to be supervillains themselves and leave Gru and see what happens, something like that. And I'm not trying to rewrite it or just come up with a way better premise, but I feel like you could sit here and, like, again, kind of roll dice all day and come up with a better premise than what we have in this movie.
The plot was bleh.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, well, that's all I have to say about it. I flipped red somewhat hesitantly. I know that there are folks in our audience that will enjoy this movie a lot more than I did.
Somewhat hesitantly, like I'm just barely on the other side there. So
yeah, so I mean, like
very middle of the road.
It wasn't oppressive. I enjoyed myself to a degree, but I won't remember this movie next week.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, well, everybody, thanks always for watching. We sure appreciate it. And Lo and I'm sure we'll be back again with you very soon for another new movie review. Lo, thanks as always for being with me. I sure appreciate it. And we'll see you again next time. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm the Curious Lo.
Thanks for watching.
Do 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 do.